Welcome to Forgotten Fronts, where we bring the defining moments of history back to life. In this episode, we journey to one of humanity's greatest achievements, the moon landing of 1969, a story of ambition, rivalry, risk, and triumph. The day when humanity first set foot on another world. The moon landing was not just a scientific milestone, it was the climax of a race. In the late 1950s, the Cold War raged between the United States and the Soviet Union. Each side fought for dominance not only on Earth, but in space. In 1957, the Soviets shocked the world by launching Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. 4 years later, in 1961, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit the Earth. America, caught off guard, faced the risk of being permanently left behind. That same year, U.S. President John F. Kennedy stood before Congress and declared a bold vision. "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth." It was a challenge that seemed almost impossible, but it lit a fire under NASA, and the race to the moon began. NASA's Apollo program became the vessel of Kennedy's dream. The mission: design rockets, spacecraft, and life support systems capable of carrying humans nearly 240,000 miles to the moon and back. The journey was far from smooth. In 1967, tragedy struck when a cabin fire during a test killed 3 astronauts, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee, aboard Apollo 1. The nation mourned, and critics doubted whether the program could succeed. But NASA pressed forward, learning from failure and pushing technology to its limits. By 1968, Apollo 7 tested the new spacecraft in Earth's orbit. Apollo 8 became the first mission to orbit the moon, giving humanity its first glimpse of the Earth rising above a lunar horizon. Step by step, the dream was getting closer. On July 16, 1969, the world watched as Apollo 11 lifted off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The crew, Commander Neil Armstrong, Lunar Module Pilot Buzz Aldrin, and Command Module Pilot Michael Collins. The rocket was the Saturn V, the most powerful machine ever built, standing 363 feet tall and producing 7.5 million pounds of thrust. Millions of people watched live broadcasts, holding their breath as the rocket roared into the sky. After 3 days in space, Apollo 11 entered lunar orbit. On July 20th, Armstrong and Aldrin climbed into the lunar module, named Eagle, and began their descent toward the moon's surface. As Eagle approached the moon, alarms blared inside the spacecraft, computer overload warnings that nearly forced an abort. But mission control and the astronauts pressed on. Then came another challenge. The landing site was strewn with boulders. Armstrong had to take manual control, guiding the module to a safe patch of ground. Fuel was running dangerously low. Less than a minute remained when the Eagle finally touched down. At 4:17 p.m. Eastern Time, Armstrong's calm voice crackled across the radio. "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." Mission control erupted in cheers. Humanity had done the impossible. 6 hours later, as millions watched on television, Neil Armstrong climbed down the ladder of the lunar module. With one step onto the powdery lunar surface, he spoke words that would echo across history. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Moments later, Buzz Aldrin joined him, describing the moon's surface as magnificent desolation. Together, they planted the American flag, conducted experiments, and collected lunar rocks. For 2.5 hours, humanity walked on another world. Michael Collins, orbiting above in the command module, later reflected on his role. He never set foot on the moon, but from his vantage point, he saw Earth, small, fragile, and alone in the vastness of space. Back on Earth, the landing united a divided world. From villages in Africa to cities in Europe, from crowded streets in Asia to living rooms in America, people gathered around radios and televisions. It is estimated that more than 600 million people watched Armstrong's first steps, the largest live audience in history at the time. For a brief moment, humanity forgot its divisions. The moon belonged to no one nation, but to everyone who dared to dream. After 21 hours on the lunar surface, Armstrong and Aldrin lifted off to rejoin Collins. On July 24th, Apollo 11 splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, where the crew was safely recovered by the USS Hornet. Kennedy's dream had been fulfilled. In less than a decade, America had turned an audacious vision into reality. The moon landing marked a turning point in human history. It showed what was possible when science, courage, and determination aligned. It pushed technology forward, inspiring advances in computing, materials, and engineering. But above all, it changed perspective. From space, Earth looked small and delicate, a reminder that humanity shares a single home. Over the following years, 5 more Apollo missions carried astronauts to the moon. Yet none carried the same magic as that first landing in 1969, when humanity crossed a frontier for the very first time. You've been watching Forgotten Fronts. The story of Apollo 11 reminds us that history is not only shaped by war and tragedy, but also by dreams, ambition, and the courage to do the impossible. If you enjoyed this documentary, please subscribe to Forgotten Fronts for more journeys into the events that shaped our past. Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know which historic moments you'd like to see next. Until next time, thank you for watching and for keeping history alive with Forgotten Fronts.